If you're wondering how you can help support the channel, link to our Patreon down below where your contributions directly go back into giveaways on the channel, such as the 4 Ursula Deceiver of All that you will see featured in this video in our replays. But without further ado, thank you Patreons, and let's get on into those replays. So we are playing a tempo deck today, not the more aggro focused one that I have shown off on the channel, and also not the purple discard version that Specky has made very popular. I think that this is overall the best of the 3 versions and ways to play this color combination. You could also go with a hyper aggro if you want. However, this is more just tempo control. You can go aggro with it, and you can also go control. I really like the wide spectrum this deck allows, and I think it's very fun to play. I've been on this color combination for most of the format, and I really enjoy it. So we're going second against red-blue. I want to get aggro here, and I want to win quick. So opening 4 on inkables is not going to really help that. We want our Flynn Rider though, so we keep him and get rid of everything else. Unfortunately, we don't hit a 1-drop. To mulligan 6 and not hit a 1-drop is a 7% chance of that happening. So the odds weren't really in our favor here. Kit Cloud Kicker also is not going to be very effective. So unfortunately for us, we have 2 dead cards, but it's going to work as ink, and you know, you always need ink, so it's not the worst thing to have in your hand. We have Ursula Deceivers of All. We do have a couple songs. Mother Knows Best, however, like Kit, is not going to be very helpful. So we're going to get rid of 1 Kit here and pass turn because we don't have our 1-drop. Fishbone Quill goes away, and then 1-drop comes down. I'm like, okay, he's got another Quill in hand, and at least he had to get rid of 1. So we get rid of the Ursula. Should have got rid of the Kit just in case something happens to our Ursula before we can use her. Fishbone Quill does in fact come down, which not to much surprise there. He can go ahead, Quill, and then he's up to 4, so he's ahead of us ramping now. But then inks the Maui. Sorry, can't even talk. We ink Rafiki, play the Ursula. The only thing here we're worried about is Queen of Hearts coming down with Rush, but then he's gonna have to discard another card out of his hand. So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because then the 2 also isn't enough to take out the Ursula. Mother Knows Best being not very good because, again, what does he come down with? Hiram, Queen of Hearts, who has Rush. You know, any of these threats, most of his threats have on-play effects, so bouncing them back to the hand just is not that effective. We do see a Hiram get inked there, which I'm like, okay, he's got to have another Hiram, because you don't ink Hiram like that, right? Especially with only 2 cards left in hand now. And if he did, I think that's just a huge misplay. So fun fact here, when it says lowest goes first, lowest doesn't mean the lowest number. Like 1 is the lowest number, right? No, 1 is not the lowest number. 1 is the highest number apparently. So we, unless that's only on the bottom, like, I'm like, okay, so this time I want to just keep the whole 5. We can go ahead, we hit friends, we double sing friends, we draw Ursula, Castle, and then the other 2 cards, right? Like, if Ursula sticks around, we get to draw all 4 of those cards. Perfect. But apparently we did it backwards, and again, I thought lowest number, meaning 1, would be first, so 1 means first, right? But again, lowest apparently meant 5. So when you play bosses on a roll on Pixelborn, make sure you do it properly. So Hiram comes down here. We put him on a weird place. Like, you can't really be prepared there, but it just leaves us open to draw 4. I mean, a Maui could have came down. Like, there's different options, but without investing too much into the board, I felt like that was safe. I draw Flynn, and I'm like, well, that sucks. I was supposed to draw friends, and then friends would draw me everything else, and we would be essentially too far ahead on advantage, and our opponent wouldn't be able to do a whole lot. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm in a weird spot, right? Like, we're gonna Mother Knows Best and just get rid of the Hiram. I know he's gonna just replay it, get the draw, but I can't do anything about it. I'd rather him have to replay it than be able to quest and just get the draw 2 for free. So that's why we did end up bouncing the Hiram. It's not the most effective, but it's not the worst. Be Prepared comes down, Fishbone gets inked, and then Hiram also comes down, which is going to allow him to draw 2 more cards right away. We draw our castle, so again, we're just drawing our cards in reverse order, which is just really unfortunate. After the Be Prepared, putting that merfolk down just makes you in such a vulnerable spot too, and his 11 ink is just so strong here. So Madame Medusa does come down. He's got 5 more. I'm like, Maui really hurts. However, it's Grammatala. I'm like, well, that still hurts because Grammatala plus Medusa, well, that's 7. So next turn he can take out my castle. I am going to get 2 off of it though. And I get Ursula on my turn. So I can see his hand, hit a potential Be Prepared. I'm like, okay, Hiram doesn't make a whole lot of sense to crash there, right? Like, quest for 1 and you just take it out with the Medusa Tala on next turn. So I know I'm drawing Ursula. I can play it and hit his Be Prepared. Judy Hopps gets inked. Lo and behold, Ursula, Scar. Okay, that's why he hit the Hiram, because Scar has rush. Scar's going to come down, finish off the castle. Now he can quest with all 3. So that made sense. And like I said, he's got double Tamatoa in hand. The Scar, just like we thought, comes down. And quest. Lo and behold, it's like we knew what was going to happen. We're 2 turns away from a draw 4, so that's at least a small bright side. We can quest, go to 14. We're going to lose Ursula and Flynn to the Scar. He's going to lose 1 in hand, potentially, hopefully. He does have 12 ink, so there's a chance that doesn't happen. And then Tamatoa comes down, so okay, he's only got the 4. Gets the Popsicle, play the Popsicle, draw a card. So now he's down to 3. I'm like, could have been better, but we're not necessarily out of it yet. We can quest the 17, just hit a couple cards off the top. Like, okay, that's really unfortunate. Let It Go gets rid of that. So we would have went to 16. Keep that number in mind. We would have went to 16. That 2 there, pretty important. So that's one way. Again, had we played bosses on a roll properly, none of this would have mattered. We would have already won because, well, we're 3 turns or 5 turns late, about to be 5 turns late on our draw. Whereas we would have had it all that initial turn. So we're here now. He had to let it go for our Flynn. Like I said, that's just unfortunate. It happens though. So we're going to get a draw 4. So if we get draw 4, I'm like, it's not the end of the world. Like, there's a chance. If we were playing the Aggro build, we'd have a much better chance. But there's still a chance that we can win this game. We hit our friends. We draw 4. We hit Flynn. We hit Crab. And we hit a 1-drop. I'm like, okay, there's still very, very small chance here. We play Chernobog, we play Flynn, we play Goat. So we're going to lose our Ursula, right? But that's still 16, 17, 18. Or not Goat, sorry. Our Ursula we're going to lose. If we draw Goat, or we quest with Chernobog, draw our card, and hit Goat, and an Inkable. We need Goat and an Inkable off our turn and followers. Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, puts us at 18. Again, that 2 from the Let It Go right now is hurting a ton, but that's how the game works, right? That's why he plays Let It Go for scenarios like this. So our opponent now can't quite win, and we do still have an outlet to win the game. We need Goat and an Inkable card. The Inkable card's easy. Goat, well, that's going to take a little bit of luck, right? So also here it's like he's probably not going to challenge with Scar because the Tala takes it out and Scar can quest for 1 more. So now he can go ahead, quest, put us on a scenario of, well, you know, you better have it, and if you don't, you don't. Maleficent comes down. So Let It Go and Maleficent, as well as the bosses on a roll being played backwards, is just making this very, very difficult for us. At this point, I really don't know that there's anything that would matter, but I'm just like, let's go ahead and just play it out anyway. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can't draw the Goat. So 14 to 9, he's got a few more he can quest with, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13, hear him, pop the popsicle, draw 2 more cards. He's just got all kinds of crazy cards. And again, in that spot where the Let It Go, the Maleficent, just both put in work because we hit the goat. So we quest the Chernobog, draw a card. It's inkable. Look at that. If either one of our Flints would have stuck around, that extra 2 lore, we would have won despite everything else happening. But we're still, okay. We say well played. We say, just let it go. And expect him to, just win the game quick. Nope. He's got to keep comboing off. So we're going to concede here. I don't mind showing off your hand at the end. However, when you have too many cards, you can't do it. Just, I don't know. I'd rather the game just be over. So we get to go first now against Ruby Amethyst. I want to go aggro here. So we have actually a pretty good hand. We have our Merfolk. We have our Flynn. We have Chernobog as ink or just another 1-drop that we can get out early. We hit our snake. So here, if he plays a 1-drop, we snake to protect our Merfolk. Oh, this is frustrating me with that popping up constantly. It's like I don't even touch my remote and it just constantly pops up. So he does play the 1-drop, so we're going to ink, play our snake, bounce the Merfolk, and we'll play it again later. We did draw bosses on a roll. We have our friends. So if we can hit Ursula, we're sitting really, really strong. He quests with Rafiki, so now we're expecting the snake because obviously, unless they're a bad player and they just allow you to take out their challenger, it's not going to be very effective. We hit Ursula, and I just want to see his hand. So crab, fox, or not fox, goat, crab, Pinocchio, castle, Maui, and now I forgot the other card because we're too busy trying to talk and say everything. But we come back then with the Merfolk as well. We play the snake because if he wants a snake and a snake, I'm actually okay with that. I wanted to put him on a spot of where he's probably going to have to ink, play Pinocchio, exert the Merfolk, discard a card to challenge it, and it was just the best way for me to gain advantage, and I was okay with that. So he inks the crab. So we still know the castle, the Maui, the Rafiki, that was the other card. Castle and Maui are in hand. We have our Rafiki, but we're going to get rid of it. We're going to play our rabbit so we can draw a card, get some advantage, and we hit another Rafiki. Snake for snake, because otherwise if we quest with both, he could easily just snake, take out the Ursula, and then snake, take out snake next turn. He could just be able to gain more advantage. We see Fox get inked, and the castle comes down. So we have Mother Knows Best. I'm like, that's actually a pretty good card here, right? So we can rabbit sing 2, or sing to draw 2. Of course, now we hit our Ursula because, that's just how that goes. But I still stand by it. We had to do it. So we play our Rafiki, we play another Rafiki, and then we can go ahead and just bounce that Rafiki to make sure our cards stick around a little bit longer. Just set his tempo back a little bit. Also, the 2 challenger plus 3s obviously means we can take out the castle cleanly on our turn. He does still have the Maui in hand too, so there's that. I'm like, okay, Maui takes out rabbit, we get to draw a card. That's not that bad. And I don't want to just take out the castle because then Maui's going to take out my challenger. So we're going to sacrifice a Rafiki to take out the Maui and then put 4 damage on the castle. We draw into our own castle. I'm like, that's actually not that bad. So we can go ahead and get some passive lore for ourselves, deal with his board. His castle is going to make it 1 more turn, but again, I'm okay with that. We put the Ursula into the castle just because now if he has something else with Rush, it's like, do you take out the challenger or do you take out the threat that's going to give me an extra card? Rabbit comes down, Goat get inked, and Rafiki also gets it put into play. So here, again, we're just kind of in that spot, like, what do we want to do? I'm like, Pinocchio, let's go ahead and exert the Rafiki. And I was going to take out the Rafiki then, but I was like, I don't want him to draw 2 cards. I'm like, unfortunately, I should have kept the Pinocchio in my hand just because the way it played out. Like, I initially was going to take out the Rafiki, so that's why we played it there. As soon as he attacked the castle, I was like, okay, Fox is coming down, so he can clean that out in one swing. So Ink Rafiki, play the other Rafiki. Nothing else is a surprise. We know his whole hand. Rafiki's going to trade with the Fox, which is just really, really good value. And then I'm like, Mother knows best. We can bounce our Pinocchio, replay Pinocchio, and take out the Rafiki. So now he's sitting on just the rabbit. We can go ahead, quest, and pass turn. I didn't want to put the Merfolk down because I wanted to start holding cards in my hand in case like Be Prepared comes down. Because I felt like I was in an okay spot. Although a goat does, you know, put him actually in a pretty decent spot. So now I'm like, okay, now he's got rabbit goat. Now we want to try to actually start pushing this a little more. Because that 4 attack is going to start taking out our characters very quickly. Of course, Madame Medusa comes down. So I'm like, that's just unfortunate. Medusa comes down, goat takes out our Ursula, rabbit takes out our Pinocchio, and all of a sudden, we just lost all of our tempo. Well, we luckily draw into our friends, we quest with Merfolk, we play the Fox who takes out the rabbit. He's going to get the draw, however now we can potentially do a 2-for-1 because goat and Medusa are here and both can take out the Fox. Personally, I think I would have quested there. Put me on the whole take it out, because if I let you stick around, you know, you're gonna keep gaining more lore, and that way you get that extra lore in the process. Maybe it's not the play though. So our opponent does draw into a snake, which allows him to bounce Medusa, which is just very, very strong. I'm like, okay, so we got to come back now. We got our draw with rabbit, and we're gonna go double Merfolk because we know Medusa's coming back down and going to get rid of one of them. But we can go to 4 then. And unfortunately, he also drew a Pinocchio, which means we're going to lose our rabbit. And then the Medusa is going to come down and also take out one of our Merfolk. So he's having some really good top decks here. I'm like, we still go to 13. We have Goat for 14, Flynn, and then we also hit another Fox. I'm like, okay, so now we're actually sitting pretty decent because we can quest, go to 13, replay the Merfolk, and take out the Maleficent, kind of like before, trying to get a 2-for-1 on character trading. So now we're sitting, I'm like, we go to 17, we have Goat in hand, we're actually sitting pretty good. But his top deck luck continues once again. He already lost one snake, but he drew into his 3rd snake to quest with the Medusa, bounce the Medusa, replay the Medusa. Should have took out the Flynn though. Just because when you challenge, at least the Merfolk, you don't take any damage. But other than that, he played it really, really well. So now I just need to get the characters on board to try to win this game. Like, so now we go 17, 18 with Goat. So we're sitting okay because he has to challenge the Flynn. So we know he goes to 15. We're threatening 18. He would then go to 18. And there's not a whole lot that's going to win him the game. Be Prepared would be pretty good, I guess. But even then, we have Goat already, which gets us to a guaranteed 19. We play the Ursula, so now it's, if he has Be Prepared, he has it. But then I top deck first and put a character down. So unless he would top deck into like another Medusa or a Tremaine, we still win that game. But luckily, our opponent does not have the answer, can't deal with it. So let's go and play another blue-red. So again, we want to go aggro early. I keep the 1 snake and the friends. I want the potential draw and the potential bounce just to protect from like Queen of Hearts. We get rid of the Ursula, not worried about singing, play the Merfolk, and now here it's turn 2. I would say I would play a Flynn if I drew the Flynn, but since we didn't draw the Flynn, just to keep things moving smoothly, I do want to play the Fox to help also curb out a Queen of Hearts. And I know some say, like, well, if they have it, they have it. You just keep going aggro, keep applying the pressure. And like I said, if I had Flynn, I agree I would have. Because then turn 4, you could do like Flynn or Snake Merfolk combo. However, we didn't have Flynn, so it didn't really matter. We do have plenty of goats, however, in our hand. And even now, we go to 3. If he comes down with it, it's our characters are ready. So we're going to 8 no matter what. We now draw into our Ursula. So we have Ursula, friends, and double goat. We get rid of a goat, play the Ursula, quest. We go to 8. I'm feeling pretty good now. We had to still ink the one goat there. It's like, why not just keep it and play from behind an ink? If he ramps and he finds a way to get out of this, I didn't want to be too far behind on the ink. We're going to draw 4, so I knew we were going to have resource in our hand. So that's why we got rid of the goat there. Medusa comes down. He can go ahead and get rid of our Ursula. Probably the best call, just because the draw 4 was going to be very, very strong. We can go ahead, quest, get us up to 13, play a castle, get us to like even more, I guess, threats. We move the snake to the castle to kind of apply that pressure, like, do you swing into the snake to stop the draw? But then I go to 19, I have goat, so I'm threatening lethal on board. He has to do something to deal with my board. I'm like, well, Queen of Hearts or Maui also help out a lot in this scenario, right? And Queen of Hearts comes down. So I'm like, okay, that's it. And then Maui comes down. I'm like, well, either one works, but I didn't expect both. So well played. That was really well. Like, that was good. I didn't expect that. So Maui and Medusa there. I personally would have took out the characters, I think, because now I'm going to get 3 lore, not 2. And I still wouldn't have drawn or anything off the castle. So I don't know. I would have personally taken out the characters, not the castle in that scenario. Especially because then, like, Queen of Hearts could take out the merfolk. I don't know. Like, I guess, like I said, maybe it don't matter, but I personally would have went after the characters. And then this turn, I would have took out the castle. Shield of Virtue also would have allowed the Maui to take out the castle cleanly on his own. Could have quested with both characters then. But anyway, we quest for 1. We put down the crab. So we're up 17-0 with goat in hand. So essentially 19-0. And that's just obviously a really good spot to be in. Be Prepared, however, comes down. So it's 17-2. I'm like, okay, goat. And then I thought about it. I'm like, maybe I should have played the kit. You play the kit. If he can't answer it, which he had to be prepared. So if he answers the goat, though, you go to 19. And then obviously something like another goat, boss is on a roll. So many cards work. But if we played the kit, does he be prepared there for 1? I don't think he does. He probably waits. We quest for 1. Maybe he does. I don't know. But we'd still hold the goat and have that as like a guaranteed lore gainer in our hand. But anyway, here we go. Here is the deck list. So $234 is the total. We curve out pretty high in the 3s, essentially at the 4s, but we do play some 6s. 13 non-inkable cards. So again, I liked being at that number. I felt like 12, 13 has been like the max I want to play. I don't know. It's just been working really, really well for me. Our 10 1-drops, we do play 2 Chernobog, 4 Rafiki, and 4 Merfolk. The Challengers is really nice. It allows you to apply pressure to your opponent and also deal with locations pretty effectively. The Followers, the 2 attack actually is low-key really good, and the potential draws comes in key moments. Merfolk is our aggro playline. Again, this isn't the tempo aggro build where I was playing Maleficent as well, so just the Merfolks. 4 Snakes, not a whole lot to say there. We played 3 Pinocchios because, again, I want to disrupt his tempo. I want to control what they're doing. I want to, if I'm on the play, hit their Ursula, hit their Ariel, hit their Sad Beast. I want to hit their cards before they get the true value of them. Their Queen, like so many things. You throw the Pinocchio down, you exert the character, you hit it with like a Rafiki. It feels so nice. So just like I wanted to see it more, so we played 3. 4 Flynn Riders, again, it's kind of your aggro playline. You got these 2. When you need to go aggro, you just mulligan for them. Ursula Deceiver, pretty mandatory. You know, you're playing her to hit those songs. You can bounce her to keep replaying her. 4 Fox, card is just really, really crazy. Not a whole lot to say about it. 4 Merlin Crab as well, because again, we're playing the tempo build with like the Rafikis. Even giving your Chernobog 5 attack is really, really strong. So like turn 5, your opponent comes out with like Tragic Hero, right? Say you have Chernobog on board. You play your Pinocchio, you exert their Tragic Hero. you play your crab, you boost your Chernobog to 5, and now you can clean take out that tragic hero. So again, that's why we really wanted to play 3 Pinocchios. But 4 crab, if you have to ink it, you ink it, but the +3 is just so important in this deck. Sometimes bouncing isn't the best, however, Kit Cloud Kicker at 3 has been really, really nice. Ursula and Goat, not a whole lot to say about them, they're both 4-ofs. Same with your Rabbit, you're going to play 4 of it. We're playing 2 Yzmas. I know I say that because I've had so many builds, like even this color combination, not playing 4 Rabbit, but in the tempo build, I think that 4 Rabbit is absolutely correct. Yzma's just really nice as a late game option to either draw yourself a couple cards while putting a 4/4 multi-quester down, or if you have to out something like a Cinderella Stout-Hearted, she just comes in really, really clutch. We are playing 8 songs, the 4 draw 4s, obviously. Boss is on a roll. You know, we would have won all 3 of our replays if it was real life, but we just resolved this card improperly, but now we know how it works. So again, if you're watching this, when you set to what you want on top of your deck, 1 does not mean first. 1 means last, so 5 means first. And then 2, Mother Knows Best. It's uninkable, and bouncing just isn't as good as it was earlier in the format. Lastly, 2 castles, rounding out the deck for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take care.